Everybody, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to my photo editing live stream where you can submit your images and I edit them here live using DxO Photolab. And as many of you probably know, DxO Photolab was just released this week. And I did get a copy of it from DxO, courtesy of DxO, I should say. So I appreciate that. Uh, as you know, I'm a heavy user of DxO Photolab, and I have been for many years since I bought my first version. I think it was DxO Photolab 4, but it might have been 5. It's been a few years now, so my memory's not what it used to be. But anyhow, I will do some editing, answer some questions in the chat if you have any questions about the new Photolab 8, and anything in editing in general, really, or photography related for that matter. But for most of you here, I think you're here to watch me edit some photos and the intent being is to show you the workflow that I do when I do editing. So that's sort of independent of whatever photo editor I use. And then I'll also get a feel for how I use the tools specifically for Photolab. And then get some insights into how I would compose an image and edit it as if I had taken it myself. But that's my vision. It may not be what your vision was. So keep that in mind. These are just my opinion, one man, one opinion kind of trope. So take everything I do here with a grain of salt. But it's good to see everyone. And I really appreciate you submitting your images for me to edit. There wouldn't be a stream without them. And okay, so let me see if I can pull up my screen and let me know in the comment if the audio and video are okay. Everything looks okay on my end, but you know how it goes with live, right? So let's see. Uh, Let me see. Actually, I see a few questions here in the chat already. Roger's here, Paul is here, Joanne, good to see you. Thank you for the update on the audio. And Roger says, I'm on Photolab 7.9 at this point, can't see upgrading. Okay, I'll talk about a little bit about upgrading because it looks like a couple of comments about that. Um, Paul says, good morning, afternoon from Old England. No, I assume not updating on every other, or I am updating on every other release and I am at odds. Just not enough to justify every version. Okay. And Roger says, on your deal page, can you find any good drone deals? Oh, okay. I'll look for some. I'm not that familiar with drones. So if I look for them, it's going to be just with DJI. And that's the best I can do there. And Joanne says, I've upgraded to 8 just yesterday. Oh, very good. And good morning, Marco. How are you, buddy? I've been using that lens a little bit, taking pictures of Ellie, of course. It's working great, so I really appreciate you sending it out to me. Marco is very generous to send me a 35 to 100 Panasonic. Really, one of the nice things I've ever received. But I appreciate everything you guys send me, no matter what it is. I get a lot of times I've gotten very old cameras and lenses. People that just weren't using anymore, and it's greatly appreciated, as well as any donations or coffees, that kind of thing. But obviously, I'm not doing this for that. It's really I enjoy photo editing and interacting with you guys and communicating. With that said, I will just talk briefly about Photolab 8. They did make a lot of enhancements. Okay, and I'm just going to call them enhancements. But specifically, the one that I like the most is being able to compare images side by side. Photolab users have been asking for this since the first release, Photolab 1. And, I've used dozens of free apps that I can get online that do this painlessly, easily. So it's a mystery why it took so long to get a simple side-by-side comparison of two different images. But finally, it's here with Photolab 8. And And the other thing they've done is they've really improved the preview window. It used to be you'd have this little tiny window in the upper right corner. I'll just open up the first image here from Lonnie. It used to be you would have this tiny, tiny little window. Why is my mouse not working? Oh, so I'm in Photolab 8. But in Photolab 7, there would be a little tiny preview window over here, and you'd have to move the loop around the image. And that was fine, but it wasn't, it was too small. So now they have this new loop that allows me to go around the image a lot easier and give me a live preview of the final output of the image. Because whatever you're seeing on the screen and whatever edits I make here are not the same quality as the final output because none of the um, noise reduction and sharpening has been applied. So it's nice that we have this and you can control the zoom and all of that. And I may do a video on deep diving into a lot of these features, but these are my two favorite ones. Uh, there's some other enhancements with the tone curve and saving presets, and it does certainly perform faster than Photolab 7. Uh, it's not like night and day, but it's definitely faster overall. The workflow, looking at the thumbnails and previews, looking at exporting, all these things have seen some improvement here in speed. So my bottom line is, spoiler alert, if you're a heavy user of Photolab 7 like myself, where I'm using it every day for my personal and my professional work, it's definitely worth the upgrade for all of the workflow enhancement and some of the new features. Uh, if you're, I think like in who was it? Paul's case, I guess you're on version 7 now. You could probably skip version 8. If you're not a heavy user, you just use it, occasionally when you're doing your editing. Uh, they it's like $100 to upgrade. Maybe you can skip it or wait for Black Friday deal where depending on how good the deal is, maybe then upgrade, right? But in any case, I think if you're kind of more of a casual user, you could probably skip it. The overall output quality of the images, it is improved in Photolab 8 with the D Prime XD2S that they have now, which I believe is the same denoising engine that they have in Pure Raw 4, which is the separate plugin for using different photo editors. Uh, so that there's definitely improvement. A couple of things I noticed was the background bokeh areas, the out of focus areas are much smoother now. We used to get artifacts in the out of focus areas on very noisy images. And also the skin smoothing and things like that has been improved as well. So I think skin tones and textures, if you do get close up, are a little bit smoother, but without losing detail. So they're doing a better job kind of across the board with the XD2S, and it is pulling out slightly more detail. Uh, but that said, if your images don't have a lot of noise in them, right? The lower ISO images, say below 6400, it's depending on the image, of course, and the exposure. But generally speaking, uh, you probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the two, XD2 and XD2S. It's really when you get into the higher ISO images, or very noisy images, regardless of ISO, and you're trying to push and pull shadows. Uh, that's when you'll see a pretty significant difference between the two. There's less blotchiness. There's more detail. There's uh, smoother backgrounds with less artifacts. So all these things are definitely improvements for the higher ISO or very noisy images. where XD2S will definitely make a difference in the output. And I can say that definitively. There's a big difference there in the high ISO images. In the lower ISO images, or images that aren't that noisy, because you can shoot an ISO 25,000 image, and it's really not that noisy because you have good exposure, good lighting, all of that. Uh, but yeah, you're not gonna be able to tell much difference. You'd have to pixel peep to 1,000%, and then at that point, it's kind of a toss up which one you like better, even, right? You might like the old version better than the newer one. Another key caveat to the D Prime XD2S is it doesn't work with Fujifilm. It's going to use the previous version of Prime XD. And that's really the only caveat. But there's other improvements. There's other improvements. I would consider these minor for most people. Uh, with working with the tone curve, it's easier to use. It has a luminosity mask now. They have presets for the tone curve. So if you use the tone curve a lot, uh, Photolab 8 might be a very good upgrade for you because it's definitely the workflow using the tone curve is much better. So that's kind of my summary without really demonstrating all of these different things. I'd have to do a video with screenshots and everything to demo the improvements they've made with Photolab 8. And I would say if you're on an older version, Photolab 6 or 5, I think it's kind of a no-brainer to upgrade, honestly, because the updates between Photolab 6 and Photolab 7, while not game-changing, were significant, right? There were some nice updates. And then again, we have some very nice updates here in Photolab 8. So you combine the updates with Photolab 7 and Photolab 8, going from Photolab 6 to Photolab 8 to me is a no-brainer. So I would definitely recommend upgrading, even if you're just sort of a casual user. Now, if you're a very light user, like you use it once in a while, just stay with Photolab 6 if you're happy with the results you're getting. And you're fine with the workflow. But if you're a regular user, uh, a Photolab 6 or 5 or 4, definitely it's worth the upgrade. If you don't own any software, or you're using free software or using Adobe, you have a photo editor that you like now, um, maybe, download the free trial and see what you think of Photolab 8, and watch my live stream today when I start editing photos, and see if it makes sense. Now, I've owned and tried a lot of different photo editors, and I've always landed on Photolab for all of my editing needs, with the exception being because there are limitations, right? No HDR, no layering, no focus stacking, panorama stitching. These can be easily supplemented with free software that you can download, and they do a great job. So, uh, but it's not an all-in-one photo editor type uh, product, right? It is very targeted at editing single images and doing the very best on that image, and providing a workflow that is, for me at least, very intuitive, very fast, and you have a tremendous amount of control over the feel and look of your image, the different parts of the image in terms of color, in terms of luminance. You have very, very fine control. And then again, the final output with the DxO optics module and the D Prime XD make it, I think, unbeatable in terms of the final output. So even in my professional workflow where I have to use Adobe products because of the layering and the HDR and I also do a lot of exposure blending with multiple images. I always process everything with Photolab first, the optics module and denoising, and then I work with those optimized images in Photolab, in Adobe products. And there's a case to be made. I could just use pure raw 4, but like I said, when I'm editing individual images, I find the workflow and the tools available in Photolab 8, and combine that with the final output of the image. Photolab gives me the very best results, bar none. And that's because I just love editing, right? I think really if you're happy with what you're using now, whether it's an Adobe product or the freeware like Darktable is very popular. Whatever it is you're using, maybe you're using one of the competing products like what is it, On One and the Topaz Photo AI. These are all fine products, right? If you're happy with those, all I can say is try Photolab 8, compare the output of the results, and see if you like that better. And if you're not using anything, definitely give Photolab a try. It's the very best editor, in my opinion, for single images. But okay, so that's my that's my general assessment on Photolab 8 and where I think you should go, whether to upgrade or to buy it. Uh, there's no deals or discounts on it right now because it just came out, and we're about a month away from all of the deals and discounts coming out. So I would just download the free trial, use it for the 30 days, and then wait for the deal and discount to come, say in November. Like I said, maybe a month and a half before we see any serious discounts on anything. If we don't get any discounts like in November for Photolab 8, because it is relatively new, I would say just get it, based on the conditions I outlined earlier. If you want to get it, just get it. Uh, and then you'll get to use it and enjoy using it, right? And getting all the benefits of it. At that point, time is on your side, right? Because you always have to balance time and money. And the time that you lose by waiting for another deal is, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Just get it now. If because life is short, man. I mean, I don't want to get all philosophical about buying products, but life is short. And the time that you lose not enjoying or taking advantage of a product is what's the word I'm looking for? Is priceless. You cannot put a price on time. So uh, if you value time like I do, well, that's a total loss. If I really valued my time, I wouldn't watch YouTube all day long and movies. uh, if you really value your time, I would just buy it now. And why wait for the discount? And that's true of anything in life. You can if you can afford to wait, it's not a priority. Always wait for the deal. That's what I try to do. But if it's within your budget, there's no reason to wait. Take advantage of your time of using and enjoying a product uh, while you have time, right, on this earth. So, okay, let me just double check the chat one more time. Oh, I've been in my editing mode all this time. Uh, let's see. On your deals page, can't find it. Okay, drone deals and Clint Johnson, good to see you. Uh, and Big Bird, good to see you. So I'm sorry, I've been jibber jabbering for gosh, about 15 minutes on Photolab 8, and we're here to watch me edit, I think, right? And Joanne says the new loop is much better at showing you the effect. Yeah, I love the new loop, and there's a really good preview section for the presets. It used to be you'd have to apply the preset to see what it would do, but now you can just kind of hover over it, and it'll show a preview of the preset before you apply it. So that's another big improvement in the workflow. Uh, but okay, let's just edit. Okay. So first one here is from uh, I can't make out the name here. Lonnie. Okay, Lonnie, thank you for sending this. And we're on a Nikon D850 with the 24 to 120 f4. Very nice, very, very nice setup. And a beautiful scene here. And as always, when I look at landscapes, I'm looking for layering of the scene. really not just landscapes, any photo. I like to have some depth to the photo. So I always look for ways I can crop the image and layer the image or be able to show the layer and depth of the, because we're taking a two-dimensional picture of a three-dimensional object, right? In a three-dimensional world, I should say. So I've already applied optical corrections and denoising and sharpening to all the images. It's a standard preset that I use. Uh, so all I have to do really now is just focus on the composition, and I'm going to go a bit wider because there's not much going on down here, and there's a little bit in here. If this were the subject, I would focus more on this, but we have some beautiful mountains here in the background, some clouds. So really all of the meat of the image is in the top third, and there's very little in the bottom two-thirds going on. Um, so I may have to even go thinner, 16 by 7. No, I think my original 16 by 9 was good. All right, so that gives me kind of layering foreground, midground, background, right? So we have nice 3 layers at a minimum. And I'm going to push the shadows a bit, see what we have. And of course, we have a little bit of noise whenever you push shadows that hard. I think the horizon is relatively straight, but I'm going to tilt it just a hair left. And this is my general workflow. Is I always look at how to crop the image, straighten horizons, do perspective corrections, because I want to have a feel for the overall composition of the image before I start doing any heavy editing. So we'll do roughly 1/3 sky, 2/3 everything else. Just the balance, and the scene is very well balanced as it is. But I'm wondering if I can capture most of what I want in a vertical. I mean, I hate to do this to an image like this, but I feel like I try 5 by 4. 'Cause there's not much going on. The right and the left are almost identical. So I feel like, let me see if I can balance this. This is still not quite. Let me look at. Yeah, I think I'll just stick with this. Okay, so let me work on local adjustments. This is where I usually go next. So I'm going to move the eyedropper up here. Just crank in some clear view for the sky, maybe a little micro contrast. And let's move this up. I don't want to lose that haze in the mountains. I like that. And then let's do a new control line. And I'm going to bump the shadows even more. And the highlights. Don't worry about the water down here. I'm going to come back to that. Do some clear view, a hair of micro contrast. And the color, maybe give it a bit of warmth. Like that. Push it a little bit this way. Ooh, it's too much. Let me see if I can push the reds just a little bit more. Yeah, just like that. And then the high yellows. All right, now let's make another control line just for the water. And I want to kind of do, well, let me try this. I haven't done this before. I'm going to do a negative control line in here. So basically, it's subtracting this control line on the water. Now I'll make a new one just for the water. And I want this to be quite a bit darker. Maybe not that much. A little bit smoother. And let me go back. I need to tilt this a bit more. Okay. All right, now the highlights over here are clipped. I don't know if I can save those or not. I'm going to try. Uh, I don't think they can be saved, but we'll see. Yeah, they're gone. They are pretty much gone. So, uh, what I like to do sometimes is I will take the healing brush, put it in repair mode, a huge feather, reduce the opacity a tiny bit, and then, whoops, where did my, there it is. Actually, let me put it in clone mode. Make the brush a little bigger and just try and fix some of these highlights. So I'll just grab, let me reduce the opacity. I'll just grab somewhere else that has some good detail in it. Something like this. And then let's fix this one. This one we'll use something over there. Let me pull the opacity back. Okay. And then up in here, pull this out. Try right there. Okay, this control line, I'm just going to give it a little warmth. So on all these repairs, okay, this one needs to be a little bit different. Maybe up here. I know I'm really spending too much time fixing these clipped highlights, but it's kind of an easy way to fake clipped highlights is just pull from areas that are not clipped because it's just the sky, right? Nobody, you can't do that like on a person's face, right? Now these rocks, I want to stand out a little bit more. So I'm going to add just some local adjustments here. See what I can do. Let's try just brightening those up a tiny bit. All right, very good. Uh, Another drop there. One here, one here. Maybe there, there. Nah. Okay. And then I'm going to make another control point because I do want to kind of brighten these up right in here. I'm just going to push it slightly. I feel like one of these control lines needs to move a tiny bit. All right. Let's see. That's about 90% there. I think I'm going to try one more thing because the light's coming, it's almost completely overhead, it feels like. But if I do, just a touch, that's a very, very subtle change, but I think that works. Okay, so let's um let's export this current folder and export. And then we'll do a side-by-side comparison. So it's almost there. Ah, this D850, man, this is like 50 megapixel image. Okay, there we go. So let me reset it and let's compare it with the output. So here we have the before and after. And I may have made this a little bit too bright over here. I would probably darken this a little bit, but for the most part, we're about 90% there. And I feel like I think the crop is good. Okay. Because there's just way too much water in here. So just clipping out most of the water, highlighting this area in here. It's bugging me. Um, let me, it was one of these control lines. This one, I think I put too much shadow. Okay, there we go. All right, so that's what I would do. That is the final output. So if we do a side by side, there's the, and we'll do a full screen. So there's the before, and there's the after. Yeah, Marco's saying the same thing. Try a bit darker in the land area with a little more green. Yep, I think that would work. But there's the before, there's the after. And I can also do sort of a one of these jobbies. I don't like doing it this way. This is great for websites and stuff, but I think for editing here at home, uh, Doesn't do much purpose. All right, so thank you, Lonnie, for sending that. And here we have an image from, oh, John Follows. Let's do, I think the composition is nearly perfect. It's very similar to my own personal style in that I like to be very tight into the subject. And this is pretty tight. So what I'm going to do is just crop in a tiny bit more right there. Maybe, let's see, let me do a 4:3 crop and see. No, that's too much. So this image was shot in 16:9, it looks like. So I'm going to go right here. Let's apply perspective correction. And okay, very well exposed. So really all we have to do is a little bit on the sky. Maybe pull it slightly. No, let's give it a little more warmth. And then let's add some local adjustments. I think I've seen this scene before. Uh, so let me push. I'm going to push the foreground a bit. Give a little warmth. Oh, that's going to need, this might need a new control point. Yeah, that's too much. Let me make a new one. I just want to highlight this flower bed a little bit. Maybe that bucket and a little bit more on that tree. So I'm going to give it some vibrance. Just push the highlights. Tiny push in the midtones. There we go. Let's spread this one out a bit. Okay. And give it a little bit of warmth. All right, good. Oh, there's some flowers there too. So I like that one. Okay, now the house itself. See if we can just push the shadows in this area. Not too much. Over here and over here. A bit there. Okay. And then I'm going to let me add one more. Just a small one here. Some of these little accents in the image, right? Maybe one right there. I'm just going to push the reds. Let's stretch that. I always like to look for little accents that I can use. This can be larger. This needs to move over a bit. Can you put one there? No, not that one. So coming back to this one. A bit of contrast, maybe some clear view. Just wherever. I think it's okay. And the windows. Just add a little bit of brightness. Let me do a separate one for the windows here. It's off a tiny bit. All right, I think that's it. Let me just do a quick compare. Yeah, this image didn't need much. It needs one more thing. I'm going to focus mostly on the greens and yellows here. Just want this foreground to pull in a little bit. All right, now I'm done. So this one, I don't really need to export this one. I think this is another thing I like is the compare tool has some better options for doing side by side and all of that in Photolab 8. So let me reset. Okay, so the original here is on the bottom. The edit, is that? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, okay, so the original's on top, and my edit is here on the bottom. So it's a very, very subtle difference. I don't know if side by side makes sense. Here's my edit here on the right, the original on the left. Didn't do much. I didn't really do much. If we just do like this is my edit, this is the before image, and that's my edit. So yeah, I don't think this image really needed much. Just a little texture in the sky, push the shadows and vibrance on the flowers, and that's about it. And I overdid it over here on the corner, but for the most part, I think that looks pretty good. Okay, thank you, John, for sending that very nice image. And then we have one here from Sam. Okay, let's see. Nice image here. And we're working with a Nikon. Wow, it's like a Nikon day. A Nikon Z7, a 70-200 2.8. Wow, really nice cameras and lenses today. Honestly, this image is almost perfect straight out of camera. I'm trying to think what I would do. Let me zoom out. Let me look at it like this. It's one of those like get out of the forest and or look at the forest and get out of the trees kind of thing. I'm just trying to see if I can see an overall sort of balance or feel for the lighting. So I think this is what I'll do. I'm gonna be very creative on this because honestly, I think this image is straight out of camera is ready to go. It really doesn't need any editing. But if I wanted to get a little creative with this, um, what I would do is really pull in this side and just pull this side in quite a bit. Maybe not that much. Give a little bit of detail in the shadows. Let me try it this way. Okay, I'm gonna spread the chroma and luminance out a bit. Oops, the other way. Okay. So I'm going to darken that. There we go. All right. And a slight push in the shadows. Okay. And then on the opposite side, just make it brighter. Where's my dropper? It's on the wood. Let's do the fog first. Make it a little softer. Okay. So good. Then let's do the trees. This kind of yellow reddish area in here. What if I go back a bit? There we go. All right, now one more thing I need to do. I think let me try control points down in here. Move this over here. And this is going to be a little tougher. Yeah. Let's spread this out. Okay, good. It's a bit too much. All right. All right. I think I'll stop there. Oh, I wish I could. Hold on. It really needs its own control point. All right, and then just globally. All right, I'm gonna call it there. So, let's take a look at the before and after. So, composition-wise, it's nearly perfect. I think any changes I make to composition would not help at all in terms of cropping, right? And really, what I wanted to do is just separate the light a little bit more. Pull the shadows down, push the highlights up a little, and then accentuate the red colors in the scene because because the greens are already pretty strong, and red's a nice complementary color. So I just push the reds a little bit stronger uh, to complement the strong greens in the image, and that's it. Like this spot's a little dark, so I could go back and make some quick changes, but that's let me. I think it was this one. Yeah, that's a little better. Okay. Uh, so let's just look at it this way. That's my final edit. So there's the before, which, like I said, it's already a very nice image, but I like my images a little bit more punchy. So I'm trying to add contrast to the lighting and also to the colors. So that would be my final edit, more or less. All right. I see some new people came in. Good to see you, Wayne and Shri. Awesome. Good to see you. And Osman, good to see you back. All right. Let's go to the next image. Let's get out of this full screen mode and grab this up. All right, we have birding here with a Canon 70D classic with the SP-150. I used to have that lens, the 150 to 600, but it was for my Nikon. That is one big massive setup you got there. Who is this from Paul? Yeah. Wow. All right. So this is wow, this is overexposed. I mean underexposed. So it looks like what happened is you locked your ISO at 100 and That's why it's underexposed. Okay. I'm just looking at the EXIF date over here. I mean, you do need to underexpose white birds to keep the detail in the feathers. I feel like this is just a bit more than I would have done. And sometimes, you're not paying attention, right? And I do that all the time, and it's much more underexposed than I would have preferred. But okay, so we'll just do the auto lighting. Because the problem is there's very hot spots here around the bird. So I don't know if I can separate that bird with the auto masking tool. This is one area I'd like to see really improved. I mean, it's not high on my priority list of things to improve in Photolab, but uh they're Adobe does this really well. You just do select subject. All right, so let's just pick this bird and just push the exposure. I'm going to push it much brighter than I normally would. And then I'm going to just fix where the mask sort of just bled over. Whoops, that's too much. What I need is stronger feather and a larger brush. Oops. Okay, let's try that again. All right, good enough. All right. It's not perfect. I mean, you can still see a few artifacts there, but now what I'm going to do is just pull this in like that, because what I'm worried about are the highlights here, clipping. And then I can kind of fix this again. Excuse me. Let's use a little bit smaller brush. Okay, good. There and there. All right, good enough. Uh, Not perfect, but okay. That, and then the bird, bring down the color. Just warm it slightly. And let's do some more local type stuff. Oops. And then I think the eyes on these guys are pretty much black. I'll see if there's anything there to pull out. There's a little bit of blue in the eye, isn't there? And some yellow here. That's interesting. Okay. And this mask, just missed it there a little bit. All right. And then let's work on the lighting down here. 'Cause there's a little bit of light kind of touching the leaves and twigs down in here. Looks like this is one of those evergreen. Okay. Yeah, Paul, I saw your comment there. You're right. You did. I typically underexpose by 2 stops, but this feels like it was closer to 3 or 4. But anyway, like you said, it's easy to recover these in post for the most part. If you know your camera well and know how to expose your images because you know what you can and cannot recover, then it's okay. I want these to be, I don't know if that might be too much. Just move these a little bit out of the way. All right. Just a slight there. Then one more control point. Let's cool these off. Okay, and one more control. We can do some more global ones over here. All right. The only thing is this, there's one little artifact up here. That was this auto masking issue. So I'm going to do a little bit tighter. Okay. Oops, something bled over onto the bird here. Wasn't that one? This one. Nope. It was these. So we'll just fix it directly. All right, that's where I'll end it there. So this button, and this one. So there's the before and after. I guess that's okay. Let's do, let's look at it this way. So there's before and there's after. I think that looks pretty good. I could export this and probably pull out a tiny bit more detail in the feathers and things because of the DxO Prime, but it'd be very hard to see that on this live stream. So I'm just going to just show you this preview. So there's before and there's after. And I just wanted to kind of give a hint of blue in the background. That's why I had that other exposure to sort of just contrast this hint of yellow. Because blue and yellow are also, again, complementary colors. There's absolutely no red in the scene, so I didn't need to do anything with these greens. But okay, very nice image. Let's go to the next one. Oh, Paul's asking, would the new hue mask worked better? Possibly. But I haven't played with it enough in the Photolab 8 to work with it. So yeah, I didn't want to work with tools that I'm not quite familiar with yet. But I assure you, by the time I get to the next live stream for photo editing, I will be, I'll have some competency at the hue mask.
Someone was detected at your port.
Okay, let's see. Where's my, there they are. Wow, another one, strong backlit scene, this time from Paul Sutton. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna put a mask. This is one of those birds that cackle or something, I forget. But they have a really, I don't think they sing, they cackle, right? All right. So we definitely need to bring this bird up quite a bit. And let me do a little bit more feathering. Just pull off some of the harder edges. Okay, good. Wow, this is a tough one. Uh, all right, we'll come back to the background and stuff. Let me just work on the bird a bit more. Ah, this bird has kind of blue eyes or something. Maybe it's yellow, but it's just so underexposed. The real color's not coming out. Okay. And then just a little bit in here and here. And you guys sent me some really hard ones today. Some have been awesome, like with respect to exposure, but then some of these are like this. These are tough. Oops, let's not do that. Let's do right in here. All right, that's more or less what I would do with this bird. I think the mask might have missed the spot there. And then not the best job. But we'll make it work. This needs some vibrance here. All right. Tighten up the aluminum mask a touch. Tough times here.
Someone was detected at your port.
This bird is killing me. It's got to be one of the hardest edits I've done in a long time. All right. See if we can just kind of naturally make this bird work. All right, and then composition-wise, we're almost there. So just minor changes here. Just trying to keep things. Okay, I'm going to export this one. I think that is. Did that export? Okay, that exported. Let's see how that looked. I'm crossing my fingers on this one, man. Let me tell you. Uh, ah, I'm only about 80% happy with this edit. I would have to spend like another. Gosh, I'd have to spend. Let me reset it, and we'll compare it with the output. So there's the before and after. I would have to spend a lot more time right in this area here, because this looks just a little bit unnatural in the edit. But this was a tough one. You have a really strong backlit scene, and then you have a very high contrast bird. I mean, he's got virtually black eyes and black fur up in here versus, because I bet this is blue, this little patch here. Wow, that was tough, Paul. But I think in the time, to keep the time reasonable on this stream, this is about what I can do. But the bird almost looks like it's cut out and put into the scene because there's just not this natural transition from foreground to background. And that's my problem with this image. So I'd have to spend a lot more time to make that transition smoother. I think the closest thing I can do, let me go back. The only thing I can do is maybe add a gradient mask here. And just pull this in. Not really. Or let me just pull this in. The other thing I can do is just embrace the fact that it's backlit and blow it out. So yeah, that looks a little more natural. Because this is the original edit. This to me, the bird just looks like somebody cut and paste a bird into this photo. This looks a little more natural. I think in shots like this, you just have to embrace the fact that there's like, 20 stops of dynamic range between the foreground and background. Because if you try to balance those things, it starts to look a little bit fake. So I think this looks uh I think I think this image on the right looks a little more natural than the image on the left, even though it's we're starting to get into the realm of clipping highlights. If I had started editing this way, it would be better. But since I've already went deep dived into trying to balance things over here, It it's not how I would edit this side. This side I would have edited differently. So sorry about that, Paul. If I were to start over from scratch, I would embrace the fact that there's very high contrast and went with more of a look like this than what I did over here. So I think this is better. Let me export this. And then we'll compare it. Yeah, that's better. So just a square crop, just, because I like the original. Ooh, I don't know why my stream went out. But okay, so I think that looks more natural than my original edit. My original edit was this one. It's still here. Like I said, this looks like the bird's cut out. And then this one looks more natural. Had I started with this in mind, it would be even better. But I didn't start that way, so I just made a quick fix. But okay, very good. Thanks, Paul. Um, all right, so we have very nice landscape here. EM5 Mark II. Oh, one of my favorites with a great lens, the 14 to 150. So I don't feel like the Dutch angle here, this sharp angle, was intentional. If it was, I'm not seeing why. So I'm going to straighten the horizon, definitely, like that. And then composition wise, I'm going to try and balance this. Let me see. Yeah, that feels a little more balanced and a little bit more tilt. So, okay. And slight more crop on the left. So my intent with the crop is just to fill the bottom of the frame more with the water. Um, Gosh, it still feels crooked. What I'm using here is the little lines of waterfall here, not the trees, because trees are always crooked. But water, generally, when it's falling, it falls down straight, more or less. So that's what I'm using as my guide to straighten the horizon. Okay. Uh, Joanne says I was leaning to the one side. Oh, this is your picture, Joanne. Okay. That makes sense. All right. Now we can probably just dive right into local adjustments. So we need to just pull this side in. Let's let's desaturate it a tiny bit. Okay. Um, and that's kind of jacking up the tree line, though. Let's not do that. Let me see. I gotta fix this area up in here somehow. Okay. I think that's all I can do there. Let's do a new control line for the trees. And we'll pick right in here. Tighten up the chroma mask. And just saturate that a bit more, maybe in the reds and oranges. Give it a little more luminance. Push in the shadows. Okay, good. And then we kind of need to do almost the opposite on the other side. And same deal, we'll tighten up the chroma masking and just pull these in a bit. But I still want to push saturation a bit. And let's pull it back on this side. Just a slight shift to the reds. All right. Okay, so the back is really blown out. So I'm going to just work on this area in here. There we go. You guys are really sending some tough ones this week. I mean, they're really beautiful images, but they're tough, man. Okay. We're gonna do some smaller ones in here on these rocks. And then this water. Let's tighten up the chroma. Pull off some of that, pull in the blacks. Okay, we're almost there. A little bit on the water. push the luminance mask this time and just push this a little bit. I like these little rocks in here. Damn it, this horizon's still not straight. So the problem I'm running into now is I don't think I can. Uh, maybe yeah. Let's come all the way down. That doesn't look right. I had to crop too much because the horizon's crooked. The only other thing I can do is just go to a 5x4 maybe. Now it's not balanced. Okay, I'm gonna come back. I really wanted something like this, but because this corner's clipped, okay, that's the best. It's out of balance though. I'm trying to balance the trees on the left and right. But when I do that, it gets a little bit heavy on the right side. 'Cause this has to be cropped about like that. Because there's this nice little line of rocks right here that I wanted to go into this corner, but it doesn't quite reach. But then I don't want to lose this tree line on the right and left either. And these rocks don't line up with these trees, so it's never going to happen. The way from where you were standing, I'm never going to be able to get these rocks in the corner, but keep these trees. So, okay. So this is just one of those kind of compositions that if I was in the field, I would have handled this a little bit differently. If it were at all possible. I mean, I get it. I wasn't there, so I don't know where you can or cannot move. I mean, if you were leaning over crooked to begin with, you're probably maxing out what you could do on this corner because you probably saw the same thing I'm seeing. Uh, I couldn't quite get it there. Okay, so we need to do some global hits to this thing. I think what I'll do is just soften it. Just soften it more. Just a little bit more hit of light over here. Okay, I'm gonna call it there because this was tough. Uh, So there's the original image on the left and my edit on the right. So I think it's a tough call. I mean, I kind of made the image very soft, but I'm always drawn to more contrasty images like this. But I really had to soften this image up a bit because I felt like the water, I just couldn't, I just could not get this bottom half to work right. So by softening the image, I feel like I'm just balancing the whole thing out rather than trying to balance certain elements. By making the image a little bit flatter, you don't have to work so hard to balance the different elements, I think. At least that's how I feel. Uh, but yeah, this was a tough one. This should be called the Challenge Rob. Yeah.
Someone was
Ah,
detected at your course.
oh, poor Ellie. She wants to go out. She, whenever you hear that from my device here, that's Ellie like wanting to go outside. Okay, let's go to the next one. But thanks, Joan. That was a tough one to edit. I'll probably like yeah, this is probably like one of those moments where like later this afternoon or tomorrow, it'll hit me exactly what I should have done with your image. Like a lot of these images, I would like, oh, I should have went this way. I do that all the time. Like I'll go back and look at the edits that I did from a stream and then says, man, I should have done this or I should have done that instead. It would have been much better. But the stream's over, right? It may have been over for days and it doesn't hit me till days later what I should have done with that image. Uh, but anyway, it wouldn't be a live stream, I think. Okay, let's see what we have here. We have a little bird and a bird feeder. I forget what these are called, but I what I read about these birds is that the red that you see, maybe not this bird, but if you saw the chest of this bird, the redness is caused from they eat red berries. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I read somewhere. It's either this bird or a bird very similar to this. So I'm going to just crop out this feeder, straighten the horizon. Okay. Let's do that. Do the opposite this way. Why is that not? That should be canceling that out. I'll do it this way. I'm getting a little confused with my control lines. But I'm just trying to create a little bit more brightness on the bird.
Someone was detected at your porch.
Without. Okay. So let's see where we're at. Okay, good. And this one, I'm going to warm it up a tiny bit and give it some clarity. Okay. All right. See if we can push the reds a little bit. And let's fix a little bit in here, maybe. That's too much right there. Okay. I think I'm done. Maybe just give it a little vignette. We'll export that. Oops, let's compare it with the new output, reset it. And all right, so there's the before and there's the after. Yeah. So if we just kind of go, let's compare it this way. See how we did on the detail. Yeah, much better. So this is what I mean about DxO's output or Photolab's output is it really brings the details out, and then I have like a very fast, relatively fast workflow for me anyway, to make the changes and edits that I want to make. So if we just look at this like this, you can see, this was uh, just capturing too much area when really I think all that matters is the bird feeding right here. That's all that really matters. We don't need any of this other information to make this shot. So there's the before, there's the after. If we zoom in, and that looks a lot better. Okay, so I think I saw a comment that somebody sent one more. Check the photo I sent this morning. Is that something you uploaded or did you email it to me? Uh, let me go to our email and then I'll answer some questions. Or he emailed a couple of. Oh, okay. You emailed some from Roger. So let me take a look. Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, nice, nice. So there's one of them, and then there's the other one. Oh, so that's that same bird I edited, but now is flying. That's cool. Those are great shots. Very nice. Okay, thanks for sharing that. I appreciate that. I always like to see images you guys take. I mean, because sometimes I have a hard time, uh, going through Instagram and Flickr and all of that. But when you send them to me directly like that, I pretty much have to look at them, which I don't mind at all. I enjoy looking at your photos. So, um, okay, so those of you that have my email, rob@robtrek.com, it's pretty straightforward. You can just email me whatever you want. If you have any questions or you want to, show me an image, that's fine. Uh, but okay, so let me see. Oh, Roger says he uploaded his. Let me take a look. Sorry, my left hip here, I think I'm getting arthritis, so I have to put my leg up sometimes when I've been sitting too long. Let me take a look and see. Roger, Roger, Roger. No, I think I got them all. I don't see anything new from Roger. Unless it's that sparrow we just edited. All right. Let me see. Is anything else in the chat? Oh, Shri is here. How you doing, Shri? Good to see you. I'm gonna be in Burke Lake tomorrow, so hopefully I'll see you there. And it's a house finch. Okay, got it. Uh, and oh, you're gonna send it again? Okay, that's fine. I mean, I'm not I'm not hungry yet, so I can I can edit one more photo. Usually with these, I start at like 9:15 these streams, and by 11:30, 12 o'clock, I'm so hungry. Huh. Oh, okay, great, Tree. We'll see you tomorrow. Let me check if that image came in. I don't see anything. These are the images I got. So if I refresh this screen, I'm just not seeing it. Okay, now it's here. All right, I got it. Some trees. All right, it's coming somewhere. So save it here. Oh crap, I opened up. All right. Okay, so it's this one. So I'm going to download the optics module. 4-in-1 with a 40-150 f4 Pro. Oh, that's a great lens. All right. So this one, clearly I need to, let me apply my basic preset and just straighten the horizon and balance this out a tiny bit. Wow, this is really a nice scene. Um, what would I do here? I can either go kind of soft or super crispy. Um, let's keep it kind of soft. We can use some very, very tight masking here. Chroma and luminance. Just bring this in a little bit. Maybe punch up the color. Like so. Do the same thing with the greens. I think that's good. Right? Let me do a separate control line for the greens. Okay. Tighten up the chroma. All right, good. And go back here. Okay, there's that. There's that. Reds are pretty solid. Just a tiny shift. I think that's all that needs to be done here. Uh, back. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it with the control line. And this one. Just want to soften up the grass and the branches. But I'm going to keep the tree line, the trunks of the trees relatively sharp, but I'm just trying to soften up these greens and these yellows down here. It's a bit tighter. Okay. All right. I think that's all I need to do. So not a huge difference, right? Is that? Yeah. I'm trying to think if I can do anything creative. Oh, Roger says this is not yours. Okay. Uh Trying to see if I can do anything a little bit more creative. But I think the shot is, I can try, but it's just gonna lose sort of that ambience or feeling that I'm getting from it. So I think that's it. Yeah. Just a slight crop and straighten the horizon.
Someone was detected at your porch.
Sorry. Give me a second here. I gotta let my dog out. She keeps. Yeah, I know, baby. Hold on. All right, go get him. That's it. All right, sorry about that. My poor puppy. She keeps yapping at me or not, but she keeps going out to the porch because she wants to go out. I don't know if you guys can hear my little device saying someone's at your porch. It's her. Let's see. Let me look one more time. But yeah, so this is from Birth or Bert. Um, gosh, I think the image is really good as is. I don't see much else I can do. Um, another not a hard one. This one was a little bit too easy. There wasn't a lot to do. But it was hard in the sense that I always like to show some dramatic change, in the images after editing, but there just wasn't much needed here, as you can see. Just a slight crop and tilt, and a little bit of softness in the trees and leaves. All right, let me look one more time for Rogers, because now that I started thinking about lunch, I'm starting to get hungry. Yeah, I got nothing. So you're gonna email it instead? Okay, let me check my email. Oh, all right, I got it. Well, Roger, you sent me basically the same picture. This is the new one. Oops. This is the new one. That's the one I just edited, right? And then this is the one I just downloaded. Okay, well, we'll call it here. We'll have to get it next week, Roger. Uh, dang it. Sorry, I didn't mean to show the email directly. Okay, Jan sent one. All right. Jan, I will do yours. Let me see. And maybe Roger, if you can figure it out between now and when I edit Jan's. Where's my okay, seascape. It's coming. Okay. We have this one here. Wow, another nice image. I don't think I can do much with this. But let's see what happens. So I'll do a basic preset. It needs to be a little brighter, just globally. Add some clear view and warm it up a bit. Let's do a control line. Oops, not that. What was I thinking? A little bit of warmth and clarity that way. Do another control line here. And we'll push the highlights maybe cool it off a bit. And then a couple of drops of light on the rocks, like here. Hmm. So let me see where I'm at. Yep, that's good. And we'll pull this in a bit. Just a tiny bit. And then some smaller. Yeah, that one doesn't count. Not quite that much. There, one there. Bit there. Okay, I think that's all I need to do. Uh, yeah, this one, I think composition wise and everything, nothing I would do would really change uh, the balance or the look and feel of this image. So all I did was basically push the highlights and accentuate the details down here in the rocks and the smooth water. So this image is really about, you know, the textures and flow of the water. And then there's sort of a calmness up here on the right side, right? So I think it's kind of a nice balance uh, already compositionally. And then all I had to do is just kind of accent the things that I think this picture was about. Uh, all right. So Roger says, I just uploaded one. Yeah, I'm still not seeing it. So I guess we'll just try again next week, Roger. Sorry about that. You know, I love editing all your photos, but I, for whatever reason, we're not getting it. So that's it today. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I know I spent a lot of time on these edits. Gosh, I spent 2 hours on just not even 10. But you know, I want to take my time a little bit today because I didn't have as many. Um, and some of them were tough, man. Wow, they were tough. The strong backlit ones with the bird and compositionally, a couple of them were pretty hard to come to a decision. Like the one from Jan, uh, it was just so tilted. But I wanted to keep all of the elements that you had in the photo. But because it was so tilted, it was hard to balance exactly everything I wanted in there. Um, but overall, really good pictures. You guys are sending really nice images, and I really appreciate it. It's good practice for me, and hopefully you found got some tips or found it at least mildly entertaining to watch me edit these. As always, I will be back. What is today? Friday. I'll be back on Sunday for another live stream where we're going to jibber jabber about photography mostly. I got to think of a topic. You guys can always email me with topic ideas because I'm always struggling to think of stuff to talk about every week. I used to just sit down in front of the camera and just talk about whatever came to mind, but I'd like to have some theme or some purpose to the streams going forward. But you guys are awesome as always. So we'll see you again on Sunday. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sending your images.